Welcome back, gentlefolk and rapscallions of all persuasions, to the next installment of what I hope doesn't become a series on this channel, because I like to be positive. I like to tell you about things that I'm excited about. This is not one of those things. This is another rant review, like when I did the Dead Take the A Train video by clicking the card. And this was really disappointing because I was really hoping that I would like this series. So a little bit of backstory. This might be shocking to find out in the year 2024 as a content creator, but I am not on TikTok. And so I had no idea that this book had blown up on TikTok. I was searching the schedule for San Diego Comic-Con 2023 and saw the name Olivia Blake. And I was like, hold up a damn minute. Are you telling me that the person who wrote my favorite fan fiction ever has written original fiction that I can give my hard-earned money for in exchange for goods and services as the basis of our capitalist economy? Shut up and take my money. So that's what I did, and I paid my friend to go and get it signed because she was doing a signing on the day of Comic-Con that I wasn't there. And now I feel a little bit weird about donating a book that has my name in it, so I'm probably just gonna be stuck with it. I'm glad that I didn't pay money for the other two, and in fact got them from the library. Incidentally, if you are a trashed Hermione shipper the way that I have been for the last 19 years since I discovered fanfiction, that's a number that just came out of my mouth, you should go over to ff.net or AO3 and find Clean by Olivia Blake. It is an alternate year 6 fanfiction, and contrary to the title, there is some spice in it. I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum, just know your appetites. Anyway, back to the Atlas series. I really wanted this to be Leigh Bardugo's Ninth House and Rachel Kane's The Great Library rolled into one another, because I wanted mystery and people out of their depth and intrigue as they're trying to unravel the secrets of this mysterious society in this ancient archive. There was so much potential to explore the ramifications of this kind of society existing, and she just didn't. The whole thing was 6 shitty people arguing with each other for 3 books. And it wasn't just that they're shitty people, they're bad fictional characters. Because you can have morally gray heroes who do objectively bad things, and they can still be compelling characters. See Sandanglocta from the first Law series. Not wild about that one either, but really the only thing that I don't have a gripe about is how he does his character work, because they are all multifaceted characters. In order to have conflict driving a story, you have to have internal conflict and external conflict, and you can only have internal conflict if you have parts of your character's nature that are at war with each other. Jed Hearne does a great job breaking this down in one of his videos, and I'll link it down below, but a great way to visualize this is to have aspects of a character existing on opposite ends of an axis. Characters in the Atlas series don't do this. They can be reduced to a single character trait for all of them. Libby is anxious, Nico is arrogant, Callum is bored, Tristan has a crippling inferiority complex, Parisa defines herself by her sensuality, and Reyna is useless. I'm sorry, I'm sure for some of you out there, Reyna's your favorite character, and if that's the case, please drop down into the comments and make it make sense, because her power turns out to be about as useful as Bella's vampire power does in Breaking Dawn. She apparently can harness the power of life, but she herself cannot use the power. Her fellow initiates refer to her as a battery, and she's ultimately not needed for the final evil sinister plot because Tristan can manipulate Quanta and basically do whatever the fuck he wants. So, yeah, Reyna is absolutely useless, and she takes up so much page time. I'm mainly going to focus on Libby, Nico, and Parisa because they're the ones that do the most growing / have the most compelling introspection, because when Callum, Tristan, and Reyna are having introspection, it's all just navel-gazing, and it never actually goes anywhere. Book 1, we get introduced to the characters. Libby and Nico are graduating college as 2 sides of the same coin. They are both physicists. Physicists can manipulate the world around them. Callum is an empath and the son of one of the hyper-wealthy magical elite that have made their fortune selling illusions. Tristan is engaged to the daughter of one of the other hyper-wealthy magical elite, and he can see through illusions. Reyna is a naturalist and working in a cafe because she wants nothing to do with her family. Plants talk to her. Parisa is a talented telepath, applies the world's oldest profession, and is completely unashamed of both things. You go, girl. They all get recruited by Atlas Blakely, the caretaker of the Alexandrian Society. They move into the manor house, where they will spend the next year and have to set up wards to protect the helm. They get attacked as part of their initiation to see how well they work together against intruders. They go home for the holidays. Libby breaks up with her boyfriend Ezra, who was RA for the dorm where Libby and Nico lived and has never really liked Nico, and is consistently trying to white knight Libby, and she is just having none of it. Or I guess she breaks up with him later after she storms out after a fight they have, goes back to the manor, and sleeps with both Tristan and Parisa. Yeah. So, again, Nico's main motivation for joining the society is to find information about magical creatures that can help his friend and roommate Gideon, whose mother is a mermaid and father is a satyr, and this officially makes Nico the only member of the initiates with any sort of pull holding him back from the society. Everyone else is just like, fuck the life I had before, knowledge and power, baby. Parisa seduces the researcher that is working in the manor house, and this is when she finds out that 5 of the initiates have to kill one of them in order to keep the archive going, I guess, because it demands a blood sacrifice. Anyway, that's mostly the important stuff that happens in book 1. They all kind of collectively decide that Callum should be the one that dies, but they send Tristan to do it, and he bitches out. And then Libby gets kidnapped without a trace by Ezra, the boyfriend that she broke up with. And then there's a little infodump that Ezra can actually travel through time, and he was part of Atlas Blakely's initiation class to the Alexandrian Society. And together they decided to find a very specific group of people that could open a door to the multiverse. And then Ezra sees into the future and sees the destruction that this is going to cause. And so he starts recruiting people on his own to try and bring down Atlas's plan. Yeah, and Libby and Nico make a wormhole down to the kitchen to get snacks. I only mention that because the wormhole thing comes up in book 2. Book 2! It starts off with the initiation ritual to the society, where everybody has to face a version of somebody else that's being initiated into the society, but it's just an illusion of how that person perceives them. And most of the characters are like, why is this happening? What are we doing here? And I'm like, I would love to know this too. Why is this taking up so much real estate in this book? Libby is stuck back in the year 1989 in Los Angeles and kind of sort of pretends to be a researcher at the local magical college so that she can try to figure out a way back, and befriends one of the grad students there. Tristan is convinced he has a bunch of power he can't unlock unless he's about to die, so Nico spends a good chunk of the book aggressively trying to off him. Tristan realizes he has some ability to manipulate time, and so he and Nico travel to Scotland to make use of the power of a ley line to try and contact Libby and tell her that she makes it back to the future by setting off a nuclear bomb in Nevada. Libby and her grad student friend also travel to Scotland for the ley line because she thinks that she can use the power to open a wormhole back to the future for herself. And when Tristan tells her what she has to do, she has like half a second of a moral quandary, and then is like, yeah, okay, fuck it, let's ride a blast wave to the future, baby. Understandably, this pisses off the grad student friend, who storms off and leaves without her, and then we get a really preachy rant from her at the end of this book, which was a choice. Libby is pissed when she gets back to the future and blasts Ezra and Atlas into oblivion in his office, which might be the best part of this whole series. Oh yeah, and Gideon, who can traverse the realm of dreams, was hired by his mom to break someone out of their own mind. That was Dalton, the researcher that Parisa seduces to find out about the initiation ritual. And that was book 2. And you're like, but wait, only 3 things happened. Yeah, I know. Why was that book so fucking long? Book 3. A bunch of wasted time. A bunch of significant glances that take paragraphs and paragraphs to describe. Some text exchanges between Callum and Tristan. Gideon ends up working for the society as an admin assistant. Raina and Callum go off to rig a bunch of American elections. Parisa has an existential meltdown because, oh my god, I found a gray hair, the youth and beauty that I've used to define myself are failing. I might as well go make myself a sacrifice for the society. I wish I were kidding. She actually does develop some depth in this book. We see that she genuinely does care for the man that she's married to, but ultimately decided to leave because, you know, power structures and patriarchy were just crushing her vibe. Libby tries to open a door to the multiverse and realizes that the only way to do that is to destroy the reality that we're currently in. She decides she doesn't want to do that, but there's too much power built up already and it has nowhere to go, so instead of falling on that grenade herself, she directs it all at Nico. and he's gone, and Gideon is heartbroken, and I'm heartbroken that she and Nico didn't have an enemies to lovers arc, because to be honest, that's really the only thing that could have salvaged this series for me. And then the last third of the book is them all dealing with the fallout from this evil, sinister plot, except that none of them deal with it even a little bit at all. Reyna was still alive after the chaos that ensues at the rally after the politician was assassinated on stage. There's some description of her where it looks like she's falling into a gaping hole in the earth, and I thought that she died, and she didn't, and I honestly didn't care either way. Callum spends a bunch of time with Tristan's family. Tristan goes back to see his dad. Callum walks in, and Tristan's dad shoots Callum. Tristan tries to map out a bunch of different outcomes if things had gone differently, and ultimately lets Callum stay dead because of the philosophical question of, do I even know what a better world looks like, and do I have the authority to make that decision? Okay. Libby ends up being the next society researcher, and Libby comes to the realization of the tragic irony that the archive knows you and knows how you think and is not going to give you what you want. Humans are ultimately destructive, and the archive is sentient and it knows what you're going to do with the information, but apparently whatever destruction you're going to bring down ultimately kind of doesn't matter because we're all just grains of sand.
Nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's gonna die. Come watch TV.
I had so many issues with this series, and I tried to put myself in the shoes of someone who loves this story, and I just couldn't. I understand the plot complexity sometimes falls by the wayside in character-driven stories. See First Law by Joe Abercrombie. But these characters did not have enough substance to drive the narrative. We never see the power of the society at play, which I guess could be the moral of the story. We also never see how the widespread use of magic to the point where communications are flowing through magical channels and at least 2 families have made their fortunes selling things that are based on magical advancements affects the major religions of the world. Ellen, the researcher that Libby recruits in 1989, is a devout Catholic, and I'm like, does the Book of Deuteronomy just not exist in this world? Like, what is going on here? Because I'm pretty sure if you have a bunch of people running around doing magic, that either shapes the formation of the world's religions, or if people developed powers later, the major religions of the world are going to have some sort of reaction to that. That could have been an interesting system of power dynamics and exploitation to explore, but fuck me, I guess. Do not waste your time on this. If you want a series with a magical secret society, go check out Alex Stern by Leigh Bardugo. There are 2 of the 4 books out, which are Ninth House and Hellbent. So yeah, Atlas series. I read it, so you don't have to.